Hello friends, welcome. Um, just really wanted to make a video today about the system that we are really governed by, and we're uh, taught from birth onwards, really, because everybody's part of controlled by the system, really, because it educates us and teaches us how to think, basically, what to be in life. And conformism's the other thing, because from young age, people have been sort of part of a system. Now, there is a system of natural laws and natures that promotes beneficial growth that exists. That's a natural system of the world, but there's a man-made system that underlays that, that is really created by the powers that be, that are governments, big business that has a lot of influence, very, very super rich people, and to some part religions, the standards of society and different things. So I sort of taught to be conform to that system that they lay down before us to, sort of obey, really. And to my mind, the system's completely broken because you look at the world today and the state of things, and most people are struggling financially, the poor particularly. Um, and the rich are really in favour, because to me the system favours those that are most powerful, those that are getting the most money, those that are having the most control over humanity. So that would be governments, religions, and big business, advertising, all the things we're subjected to. So we come onto this world and we're subjected straight away by our parents, other people, schools, work, everywhere to fit in to the system and how it wants us to be. And we've really lost our own identity doing that, because although there is free will in most places in the world, we're really very restricted within the system because it's very confining, and doesn't really educate us to be thinking outside the box. It likes us to be, doing our part. And really, power, control, and greed are the three worst things in this world, and it's driven with it, the system, unfortunately. And, the governments sadly are penalising the poor by taking benefits away from them and such like, and just letting the rich get away with it. And that really doesn't seem fair at all, does it? So they're pandering to those that make a lot of money because they do pay taxes, even if it's not a very extreme amount. But they do generally have to pay more taxes, which is fair enough. But a small increase in taxes, the super rich over £10 million could raise a lot of money in this country for what they're trying to get money for, but they're taking it from people that are in poverty already and on benefits. They're really screwing people, and I don't think it's at all fair, the system we have, and it's broken. And it doesn't generally serve the average working class or middle class person. It serves the super rich and the rich and such like. So we really need to change it and recreate it into a system that treats all equally. So everybody gets treated with an even hand. And obviously, if you earn more, you pay more tax and stuff. And if you earn less, then you get help, benefits and stuff. So it's been striven this world for thousands of years, with those that got into power having such great influence and control over the people and taxing them and such like. And today we're paying a lot of money tax, most of us, those that are out working and stuff. But it's really so sad. I'm not working at the moment, as it happens, but it's so sad that it is this way, because really, industry is destroying this world through pollution and such like, isn't it? And, global warming. And when this country's issuing even more oil licenses that's going to destroy it even more, you're thinking they're not in the picture at all of what the people really want, because they want a world that's going to survive and live on. And as I said yesterday, that mass extinction is already predicted, and they're cutting back on green issues, and they're allowing more oil to be drilled for, and fossil fuels, and they're just adding to the fire. And you're saying, why are they doing this madness? Are they because there's gain in it? They're doing it because there's profit in it, and that is not the right motivation in this world today, when we need to save it and live in balance and harmony with the ecosystem and all other nature here. That doing things that are devastating the planet, which we can see all these fires and floods and horrendous weather, and they've predicted mass extinction, and I don't know exactly when that'll be, but it won't be that far away, because food will run out. We'll get such horrendous weather that the crops will fail in the fields, and they go rotten, and we will then be heading towards a mass extinction through starvation and inability to cope with it. So it's not a good picture for this world at the moment. And the only one thing that ever changed this is you, people power. If you do your bit to support a better system, a better world that's not fueled by greed, power and control no more. It's a caring, sharing world and fair trade, and one good turn deserves another. So we've got to re-establish humanity and what humanity wants. And I mean, even in this country, you die and you have over like 325,000 or 50,000 pounds worth of property that's taxed at 40% above that. So if you had a big farm or something, and your relatives get it when you pass on, they're going to be paying 40% tax on anything worth over 350,000 pounds. So it's and somebody's worked maybe more. Some of those farms belong to many generations of families, and if they've got to pay inheritance tax on it, they're going to go bust and but they don't care, do they? They just care about getting money. So really, we're being, put upon very heavily to get a great deal of tax out of us, and we're almost being programmed by the system into conformism to obey its directives, which are to live a good life and be good and go out and work hard and get your money. And I mean, the retirement age even is too old. They keep pushing it up and up and up, the retirement age. And yes, people are living longer, and to me that means they should have a bit more time to retire and enjoy their life. Because you can retire here at 67 years old, and you'll be lucky if you make another 10 years, probably, in some cases, even if you're healthy. So maybe 20 years, but who knows? So I don't think the system's fair at all. I think it radically needs to change into being, we serve all fairly, and we serve the greater good of humanity first and foremost, to put them first, and the world itself to look after it and protect it, because it's not just about going out and exploiting, and it is exploitation that's happening everywhere to everybody that's getting put through the ringer. So we need to create a system that's fair, and we need to start living in balance with the world, because these people that are making all this money now, they won't be here when the world goes into mass extinction, so they really don't care. So we need to care. We need to care about the future, our children, our grandchildren, their children. We need to start caring about the future and pushing for change, within governments and the system, that it's a fair one and it serves all fairly, and we can have a better life by that, because proper trickle down, that doesn't work at the moment, but it does need to work. And if big companies are making a lot of money, then the employees trickle down should come down to them and they should have a share of the profits. But the shareholders of these companies are greedy grabbing and backstabbing, and they just want to take and put no effort into the infrastructure of their business. It's like the water system in this end of the country, the water suppliers. They voted to keep dumping the sewage in the local ocean and take the profit, not actually build a bigger infrastructure to cope with the amount of sewage during flood war times. So we've it's a screwed up world. It's totally screwed. It really honestly is. And we need to start getting control of this through people power and standing up for better living conditions. Probably ultimately the wages could be a little bit better and trickle down coming if they're making a profit, and less hours if we could possibly manage that. And if we went and said we do a 4.5-day week, but in the 4 days we do an extra hour a day to make up that half day, that we could have an extra day off a week on a Friday, Saturday, Sunday, or a day in when you desire it, if that's flexible by your employers. So we've got to learn to respect the world and respect each other and treat each other fairly. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that, folks, and hope you're enjoying the videos. I'll just be making a few of these, but there's an ASMR coming soon, and a sensible one for a change. But I like doing a different thing with my past life and everything. So love and light to you. Have a great day.